So when I was a kid, I used to make a lot of stuff, story-wise, and Doctor Who and Spider-Man were victim to that, as well as my James Bond 007 script. Yeah. For one of my films I didn't actually make, so yeah. You'll understand while we're reading through it just how over the top and outlandish this whole idea was in the first place, and we probably couldn't have filmed it, to be fair. Let's get started. And just to prove that these were films that I used to make, Agents of Death collector's cards, Kathleen.
Wow.
That I printed out.
I've seen them all over the place.
Yeah. Meerkat Chris presents Chris Dixon Roxburgh's Ian Fleming's James Bond 007 in Agents of Death. A bell rings at a loud and quick speed. To realise that the location is a school.
Of course.
A young-looking boy with a grey jacket and a black backpack gets out of school grounds, crosses the road, and then starts walking down an alleyway surrounded by hedges. As he walks slowly down the alleyway, he kicks a stone into a hedge, and then two lads with hoodies walk out of some hedges that are only leaves and walks up to the boy. There's too much descripting going on here. The boy turns around slowly, looking now scared. One of the two lads shout over to the boy, "Oi!" Then walk a bit faster. "Where do you think you're going?" "Daniel." "That is your name, isn't it?" says the other lad. The boy stops and slowly breathes in and turns around. "You can be Daniel."
Yeah. So what?
Shouts the boy, Daniel. "Aren't you out with our enemy gang?" says one of the lads.
Is this from playing too much GTA?
Yeah, this is probably GTA San Andreas.
Gulp. Don't know what you're talking about,
says Daniel as he starts to shake and find hard to keep his balance. "Liar!" says one of the lads.
Guess you don't give these lads any names.
And moves slightly forward to make Daniel even more scared. Daniel punches one of the lads in the stomach. The lad is slightly leaning over, trying to stop the pain. "Let's kill him!" shouts the lad that was punched and starts running after Daniel. The other lad follows after Daniel. Daniel runs towards the road which he had crossed earlier, but before he could get out of the alleyway, one of the lads grabs a P99 pistol from inside his pocket.
I thought these were school children.
Have the exact gun James Bond has from Tomorrow Never Dies onwards. From inside his jacket pocket, aims carefully and shoots Daniel in his left arm. Daniel tries to fight the pain but falls to the ground terrified. Suddenly Daniel's sight has gone blurry and he could only see a tall, healthy, well-built man in a black suit running down the alleyway towards him with a small gun and a suppressor on it. It was James Bond. Me. I was James Bond. I'm this apparently a tall, healthy, well-built man in a black suit. That's me.
No, it's really not.
Are we getting takeaway today then? But Daniel didn't know that it was a top 00 agent. Bond had heard the loud gunshots and had realised that it was a P99 pistol, so he ran down the alleyway. Daniel's sight had almost gone and he was only a bit conscious and saw Bond raise his pistol and fire at the lads.
So Bond's just gone around killing school children. Thanks, says Daniel.
Daniel gets up with his vision a lot better and gives Bond a card saying OPZ. But the thing is, that's the opening to Agents of Death, which is the one we watched, the opening. So I obviously started filming this completely different to how we wrote it here, because I probably thought this was a bit too ambitious. So I cut it down to the...
So you made it so you weren't a tall, well-built man.
Yeah. Chapter 1, MI6. Oh, so this was the pre-title sequence, so here would be the title sequence. Okay. 2 days after the shootout, James is at the MI6 headquarters. "Moneypenny, can you send 007 in now, please?" says M to Moneypenny over the phone. Bond is sat on a chair in Moneypenny's office. You can be Moneypenny.
James?
Bond looks up at Moneypenny.
Wants to see you now, please.
We should make a James Bond. Bond walks into M's office. "Please sit down, 007, says M quietly and not looking so happy. "Apparently you shot a boy twice and left him for dead," says M. "He had shot a younger unarmed child in the arm twice, so I did the right thing," says Bond.
Is that your Bond impression?
"You're not meant to shoot just anyone. Luckily an ambulance and police had arrived just in time. What happened to the younger boy? He was gone," says M. "I carried him to my car and used the bandages and medical equipment that Q had supplied me with, and then he said thanks and ran off," says Bond as he twiggles with his thumbs. "You need a vacation, 007, says M.
What's gets rewarded with a holiday for shooting a little kid.
I'm taking your stuff and you're now on vacation for 8
Oh,
weeks,
he gets an 8-week holiday for leaving a boy to die.
says M. I need to find out why the two lads shot him and how they could get such a good quality pistols, says Bond. Sorry, that was Bond, not M. That's none of your business. The police will deal with that, not you. Now get out.
Angry M.
007. Bond gets up from his chair, pushes it back under M's desk and walks out of the room looking puzzled. This is like an idiot Bond. As Bond walks through the office of Moneypenny, Q walks in and stops 007. You can be Q.
Apparently, 007, you've gotten yourself into a bit of trouble.
Yes, Q, but only apparently, says 007.
I don't think I've ever had to take gadgets off you, 007.
Says Q in a disappointed voice.
I mean, oh well.
Bond hands all of his gadgets and weapons to Q, except for his PPK pistol, which is the one he used up until Tomorrow Never Dies, and then used after... Anyway, except his PPK 7.65mm pistol from ages ago that is in an Aston Martin that he was going to drive, but now he can't.
Great sentence.
Do I still get a new car? Says / asks 007.
No, 007, but you can keep the Audi R8 that I gave you earlier.
Says Q.
Bye, James.
Says Moneypenny sadly. James walks out of the door smiling.
Time to celebrate.
Says Q to himself smiling. Meanwhile, Daniel from earlier and 3 of his friends are all talking. So they were both from AOD? Asks one of his friends. Well, they were wearing black clothes, says Daniel. Sorry, that was yours. How many members haven't turned to the other side? Asks one of Daniel's friends. Tom, a small chubby kid. I like how he's the only one that gets a description. 17 in total. Only 3 have gone now, says another friend of his, Paul. Tall, thin guy. So he's like the complete opposite to that guy.
Yeah.
Daniel still has the bandage on.
A man came up to me and helped me. He was amazing. We need to give him an OPZ.
We need him in OPZ.
We need him in OPZ. I guess that's a gang.
Yeah. They hear a car stop and car doors slam and then another car. What's that? Are they coming here? Says the other friend of Daniel's, Ben.
No description.
No description. Daniel gets up slowly, looks straight ahead of him. 8 people with pistols were...
What is this neighbourhood?
wandering around near where they were hiding. They were hiding in a bush. After ages of wandering around, one of the men spotted Ben and the others. Found them! Shall I kill them? Says the man, pointing his pistol at Ben and coming closer to them. Ben starts to get frightened. Well, he is only 14 years old. Oh, that's like me giving an excuse as to why he's frightened. But he's only 14-year-old. Like, obviously he'd be frightened. Yeah. Such a good writer. Paul runs out of the bush and makes a run for it, but one of the men aim and shoot him right in his legs. Paul drops to the ground shaking and crying. One of the men walks up to the others and says to them, "You're coming with us," looking at Daniel and Ben mostly. They follow him to a big black van, and because they all had guns pointing at them, they got in the back. Paul can't get up, so 3 of the men carry him in. Chapter 2. Dead or Alive. After about an hour, but to Daniel and his friends it felt like 8 hours.
Wow.
They soon arrived at a stop. Daniel and his friends couldn't see anything outside because there wasn't any windows in the van. But one of the huge doors off the back of the van opened, a man just standing there. The man makes them get into a huge warehouse at night. All 4 of them started to get frightened, but Daniel, being the oldest, tried not to show it. Paul was definitely scared. He had 2 bullets in his legs and had to walk inside by himself. He was screaming and crying. Daniel and his friends were threatened to not help Paul and were taken down loads of corridors until they reached one small corridor with a light bulb that was flashing on and off at the end of a longer corridor. They had to go in I can't read this, it's so bad. They had to go into the room that was inside. Apparently, this is where their leader was living.
Only apparently.
Only apparently. When they got inside, it was very dark and smelly. The room was actually a huge storeroom. Lights started turning on in a row of the ceiling until they reached the end of the storeroom to find out that it was empty. It was the size of a football pitch, and it was all empty apart from at the end, where there was a huge chair that could spin around. so like a spinny chair.
Yeah, I can understand what a chair that spins is.
It was a black leather chair. Daniel and his mates were told to keep at least 15 foot away from the chair. All of the men walked out of the room and locked the other door behind them. No one was in the chair until the back wall started to open like a shop closing up for the night. How could it open like a shop closing? You wouldn't believe that I got A in English language in GCSE. It reached to the top of the ceiling that was about 10 times the size of Daniel, and he was as tall as his dad. A big man entered through the entrance that had opened and had two men with small machine guns. The men walk up to the chair and the big man sits down. I'm guessing he's their leader, says Ben to Daniel. Daniel doesn't say anything. He's breathing too fast to say or answer to anyone. Welcome to hell, shouts the big man. My name is Mr. Doom, he says.
What do you want?
You'll soon find out, but first we're taking a long journey to Jamaica. Meanwhile, Bond, as soon as he gets his Audi R8 from a garage disguised as an ordinary wall, gets in, starts the engine and drives down the road. Reloads his Walther PPK 7.65mm that he'd found on the driver's seat, puts his silencer on and drives on until he arrives at an airport. Bond gets a flight to Jamaica.
That'll be where he got sent to holiday.
Oh, so it's like just a weird coincidence.
Yeah.
I didn't even...
I realised when they said Jamaica, I was like, oh, they're going to bump into...
They're just coincidentally going to bump into James Bond.
On
like
his
when,
holidays.
Yeah, like when you go to London or something and see your friend from school, you're like, whoa. But with James Bond in Jamaica. Just as Bond sits down at his seat, his phone starts ringing. He answers, hello, who's this? 007 doesn't get into any trouble, remember you're on vacation, says M on the other end of the line.
Why are they saying vacation and not holiday?
I don't know, it must have been an Americanism that I picked up. I can live with that, says Bond. Back at Mr. Doom's warehouse. Mr. Doom gets up from his chair, starts walking out of the room and makes Daniel and his mates follow or they will get shot. If that lad can't walk properly, kill him, says Mr. Doom to one of his guards about Paul. Will do, sir, says one of the guards as he walks over to Paul. Get up or you die. Dead or alive, you make your choice, says the guard to Paul and Daniel. Paul gets up and tries as hard as he can to follow. Oh, and we got a little picture to accompany this. First time a picture appeared in this.
Brilliant.
Chapter 3. Jamaica. Again. Because he goes to Jamaica a lot, doesn't he? Bond arrives in Jamaica. I seem to really like this place, he says to himself. I guess that's like one of the one-liners I wanted to put in there. Bond usually is in Jamaica, in brackets, if you didn't pick that up.
Such a weirdo in this.
I like how I was a huge James Bond fan at the time, but I couldn't grasp what he was actually like as a character.
I seem to really like this place.
Bond gets a room at a hotel called Cubby. Oh, that's a little reference to Cubby R. Broccoli, the producer, Albert R. Broccoli, who, with his friend Harry Saltzman, basically made the films.
So much trivia.
Oh, that's kind of a good reference. Bond gets his smart black suit on and sits on Bond's hotel room bed. He starts to look around the room, then gets the card that Daniel gave him earlier. OPZ. OPZ, wonders Bond. He gets his phone out, puts a number in that is for M. What do you want, 007? Says M in a moody voice. I need you to locate Daniel's location and find out more information about OPZ that he gave me, says 007. You want us to spy on a young person? Well, I mean, it's your vacation, so okay.
And Emma's just pathetic.
Well, it seems that your vacation might have to end because he's in Jamaica. I'm sorry, 007, but you're going to have to ask him yourself. I'm sending you the location on your phone. Have a great vacation, 007, says M to Bond. This is great. Well, I wish I filmed this now.
You should have.
Bond gets his already reloaded Walther PPK that Bond was allowed on the plane with because MI6 gave 007 authorised access onto any vehicle or just anywhere that normally doesn't allow weapons.
Do we need to know that?
It takes up like 4 paragraphs, 4 lines.
It's like your way of stopping from people being like, well, that's not realistic. Yeah.
Bond uses a locator to find Daniel. Bond's phone starts ringing again. It's What now? Says 007. How on earth did you get a locator on Daniel? Says M. Well, I used a gadget Q gave me that was meant for me, says 007. Ah, the bandage with the locator. Bond puts the phone down and gets ready to find Daniel. What's he doing here? Says Bond as he goes out of his door.
But then why did he ring M asking for the location of him if he had the bandage?
I think he just likes to show off.
Okay.
Mr. Doom, Chapter 4. Jamaica! Ha ha! Shouts Mr. Doom as they get off his own illegal plane. Daniel jumps off the plane after Mr. Doom.
So you let him escape?
Shouts Daniel. Mr. Doom pauses for a second, then turns around and faces Daniel. Oh, you mean Mr. 007? Says Doom with an evil grin. We've already got top men on him, so he doesn't know that our little stunt we pulled off actually worked. Daniel stops and wonders what he means by 007, then realises that 007 was the man who rescued him earlier.
How do you know he gunned down your men?
Mr. Doom sighs and shouts out sarcastically, ha ha ha! You didn't really think that my men shot you with real bullets, do you? No, it was a voice recorder.
Of course it was.
Daniel pauses. Yes, we heard everything from that moment you were shot to this moment now. We know it was 007 because he carries a Walther P99 and we recognise his voice.
It's all about what gun he has.
I know. I used to be so proud that I could like recite his weapons.
You still do.
007 races down a road in an Audi R8 fast to get to Daniel. He goes as fast as he can down the car-free road, but as he drives on, a car that has been not far behind catches up and rides in front of 007. 007 is being slowed down, so goes in front of him. This carries on for a while until is in front and gets enough room for a cool trick. He spins around to face the other car, which was a silver Porsche Cayenne S. And the Porsche carries on and slightly turns, but goes straight over the R8's bonnet and smashes, exploding behind 007's Audi R8. Always ends in tears, says 007 to himself as he spins back around to pass the Porsche and find Daniel. 007 now realises that Daniel must be held prisoner. Chapter 5. Dead. I think not. Mr. Doom takes Daniel and his friends to a hotel, which is called Cubby. Doom had tracked 007 earlier. Oh, well, let's give him that away. Get 007 stuff and we'll go. He'll be dead now anyway. And guys, kill everyone here, says Mr. Doom to his 10 gangsters as entering Cubby. The gangsters ran in with shotguns, single-barreled, and start shooting all the people inside. Mr. Doom takes Daniel and his mates to 007's room. Mr. Doom knocks the door down and walks inside and makes sure that Daniel and his mates stay in a corner and searches the room. Where is everything? Doesn't he have anything? A door of an R8 shuts. Doom walks over to the window to realise that 007 had got out of his car with a gun in his right hand. But he's supposed to be dead! How did he know where we were? Doom then runs over to Daniel and then gets a knife and runs back to Daniel and rips open the bandage to find a small GPS attached to it.
Very clever.
Little nod back to earlier. He knew that we would go after you again, so he pretended that he had no idea, shouts Mr. Doom to Daniel. The shotgun firing and screaming carry on, but then a Walther PPK's firing start. He's coming, shouts Doom. Daniel and his mates' faces brighten and then start to grin. Mr. Doom puts his finger to his ear and says, "Get my AODs in, now!" Doom grabs a golden magnum pistol from his pocket and points it at the doorway and then starts shaking. That's a reference to Goldfinger's gun. I think.
Very nice.
You're gonna die, you know, Daniel. No matter what, you're gonna die! Shouts Doom as his face goes red with fear. 007 runs through the doorway and points his PPK at Doom. Get the kids out of the building. Why bother to shoot me? You can't shoot me anyway. If I'm smart enough, I know that Daniel would have seen your gun and secretly taken the bullets out. Doom presses the trigger, but nothing happens. He drops his gun and points his hands up. You're gonna die! My AODs are running up the stairs right this minute, so shoot me and you'll die! Says Doom. 007 thinks and then grabs a small object from his pocket and puts it in Doom's pocket. What's that, eh? 007? A bomb. And I can detonate it by pressing a button on my PPK. And if you dare touch it or take it out of your pocket, it will realise how much the temperature has changed and will immediately explode if you take your trousers off. So get the lads out without harming them. 007 pushes Doom towards the door to send them out. Oh, and my name is Bond. James Bond. And don't think I won't be watching you, so send them back to my car. And remember, I've got a license to kill, so I will kill you.
Great quote.
Doom nods his head and runs out of the room with Daniel and his mates. But as 007 knows the AODs are running towards him, so he gets a special type of gun from his inside pocket. A rappel. A gun with a claw attached to a strong rope inside the gun. 007 rushes towards the hotel room window and dives through the window, which is 6 floors off the ground. 007 points the rappel at the roof with a pole as he quickly falls to the ground. Blam! His brain is brilliant. The claw wraps around the pole and 007 slowly lowers to the ground with the glass from the window falling on him, causing him loads of cuts. I like how I went, his brain is brilliant.
Me too.
He gets to the car, an Audi R8, and waits for Doom as he reloads his PPK. 007 sees Doom walking towards the glass cubby hotel entrance door. Before Doom comes out of the door, 007 shouts, "Only if the kids come out, not you." Doom sends Daniel and his mate out. "See that truck on the other side of the road, Daniel?" Daniel looks over the road. "Get behind it with me." 007 runs over the road with Daniel and grabs the detonator for the bomb in Doom's pocket and dives behind the truck and detonates the bomb, and Doom explodes with the glass doors exploding, which send the car horns mad. He just brutally murdered him in cold blood. 007 gets his phone out. I'll need 5 tickets home. M then says, 007, I thought you were dead. 007 smiles. Dead? I think not.
That's the name of the chapter.
Yeah. Chapter 6, Agents of Death, which is the name of the book. What? Doom is dead and the kids are gone? Shouts Mr. Doom's leader to 4 soldiers left alive from the Cubby Hotel disaster. So why didn't you kill Bond or get any of the info on his job? Well, we did find out that he works in the MI6 building here in London, says one of the soldiers. They always know where he works anyway. We already know that, shouts the leader sat in the chair at the warehouse in the huge storeroom. Boom, bang, boom, he shouts. 3 of the soldiers apart from the soldier that talked. The leader gets up and runs towards the soldier. We need this boy Daniel and not his friends with him.
You could have just said, we need this boy Daniel alone.
He's the one with the brains to successfully get to that MI6 building. His father also works for us, and he was promised that he was brought here and turned to our side, not his uncle's side. 007 has taken Daniel and his mates to London's MI6 building. So your uncle's side is called OPZ and your father's side is called AOD. What do they even stand for and why are you against each other? M asks Daniel in M's office.
OPZ is just initials and AOD is Agents of Death. 007, who has also been in the room, stares at M.
M? How long have you been in MI6? M looks at 007. You know that I've been here for 2 years, says M. 007, go and see Q. Here's some gadgets for you on your next mission. 007 leaves the room to go to Q's lab. He passes Moneypenny and says, goodbye. Moneypenny receives a message and passes it over to M saying the message is to let a group of builders into the building. M lets them in. Daniel, follow me. Your friends can stay here until we come back. M takes Daniel out of the room and walks up to the builders whose tools are all black. 007 goes to Q. So Q, where are these gadgets for my next mission? Q puts his pen and paper down.
007, I hate to disappoint you, but I don't have any for you.
007 runs out of the room towards M's office. Meanwhile, M gives Daniel to the builders. Daniel starts shouting,
No, you traitor, no, help me.
007 runs in the room and shoots M in the head, instantly killing him. Without getting confirmation that he betrayed them. 007 turns to the builders and points the PPK at them. I know that you're the agents of death. Now where's the real M? Daniel stomps on the builder's foot, which lets him free. He runs behind 007. Ow! Shouts the stomped on foot builder. Ha! The real M's already dead. The builders open the toolboxes and grab guns. It's only a mask on that M. We picked someone with the same voice. And before I kill you, how'd you like to know that was the fake M?
It's like Arya Stark.
I know, it's like the faces, isn't it? 007 walks backwards towards the door of M. The real M only started 10 weeks ago. Pow pow! The builders start shooting at 007. 007 shoots back, killing only 2 of 13 men. Daniel runs into M's office with 007 only to find that Daniel's mates have been gassed.
Oh my god!
Oh, this is dark. Daniel, who had been shot in his left arm for real, falls to the ground and leans on the wall, bleeding like mad. 007 can't do anything, so just locks the door. The agents of death start going around the MI6 building, shooting everyone in sight. 007 looks out of the window and stares at the Thames, then looks to the ground to see hundreds of AODs entering the MI6 building, all shooting everyone in sight. Nobody survives! Only when everyone's dead can we leave. That's mainly the machine gun. Machine gun bullets start firing as well as the screaming increasing. 007 walks over to M's microphone and orders all 00 agents and MI6 to defend the MI6 building. 007 slowly puts the microphone down. Bond then raises his head and looks over to Daniel, and then runs over to the door, gets a small tube with a micro camera on the end, and then he crouches down, slips the tube under the door, then gets his mobile out and picks up the camera tube and injects the USB end of the tube into the bottom of the phone, which automatically switches on the camera so Bond can see if anyone's on the other side. He quickly pulls the camera tube and gets up on his feet. No one's out there, he says. Daniel looks at Bond.
I can't move, man.
Bond looks at him. You don't have to move.
Please stay with me,
says Daniel quietly while trying to take away the pain. Bond looks at Daniel but opens the door with an already reloaded gun and aims his gun and walks out the door. The end.
Wow, so just left a kid to bleed to death.
Yeah. Isn't that very heroic of 007? I don't think that was actually the end. I think what happened is I wrote all this in like the same day or two.
And then got distracted by something else, probably.
Yeah. But yeah, that was Agents of Death. How did you think they were, Kath?
Yeah, actually pretty entertaining.
That was 2 minutes under an hour worth of just non-stop reading. That Bond book took up too much time. And yeah, bye.